and it's flat. There were dunes before, but dunes have just disappeared. It's sort of like a karoo with only sand, you know? Strange. You see how the wind is blowing. Flag.
As the Great Sahara Desert began to unfold, Riaan adapted himself to his new environment and reached the 15,000-kilometer mark.
Well, there you have it. You've had a little ride on my bike. Now get off because it's a bit heavy, eh?
On the flat desert roads of North Africa, Riaan whistled past the halfway point in Morocco and across Algeria, Tunisia and Libya. As the first signs of Cairo appeared, Riaan geared himself up for the peak of his adventure. It's taken more than a year to get here. 21,000 kilometers and 25 countries later. For Riaan, the view you see behind me has made all the effort worthwhile. Since day one, Riaan had set the pinnacle of this trip as the day he saw the pyramids from his bicycle.
This is exactly why I've done this. This is exactly why I've cycled and seen these places at 20 kilometers an hour. I can guarantee you nobody feels like I'm feeling. Nobody.
You're feeling at peace. I mean, you've been through so much. You've been held hostage. You've had to deal with police. You've had to deal with bureaucracy. Has it been worthwhile looking at this?
Every last little bit, and this is the first time I can really say it. It is definitely worth it. My legs are shaking a bit, eh?
From the cold oceans of Cape Town to the baking sands of Egypt, Riaan now considers himself a true African adventurer.
I've learned so many things. I think I really have changed as a person. I think I've had a lot more time to think than the average person. I think I sit 7 hours a day on a bicycle to sit and think. And I've solved a lot of the problems that the world has today.
Riaan, when people think about Africa, they still see it as a dark continent, as a primitive and brutal place. What are your perceptions?
Africa is wonderful. They are absolutely amazing places, places that you will be surprised that they exist. I think in some parts she's very unhealthy. I think we've got some blots on our continent that really are no advertisement to us at all.
Do you often get asked for bribes?
Every place, every place. When I went across on a ferry in Mauritania, they let every single person go across the or through the border post, showing their passport, doing their visas. Only I was taken into the office to be interrogated. The guy was asking me for money, I refused. It takes a little bit longer to get through the border post, but yes.
On principle, Riaan hasn't paid a single dollar in bribes, surely an African record. But to get just the slightest sense of Riaan's grand cycling achievement, I thought it best to try it myself. If I'm not back in 2 weeks, I'll see you in Tanzania. Right, let's go. All right, slight wobble. The most immediate thing that comes to mind is that it's not particularly easy to balance because of the immense weight being carried, about 45 kilograms according to Riaan. And also the amount of pressure it puts on your hands, keeping the bicycle as stable as you possibly can. It really is quite exhausting. Circumnavigating Africa on something like this is something I couldn't imagine. I've circumnavigated a city block here in Cairo, and as you can hear, it's taken quite a bit out of me. Every day of Riaan's adventure has been a challenge. Many have been tough, some inspiring, but none of them have been impossible. Was there ever a point on your trip, I mean, it's been more than a year now, that you felt like stopping and turning back?
Never.
Not once?
Never, not once. That would be, I would be giving up on not just my dream, but I'd be giving up on all the people that supported me. So no, not once have I thought about turning back, never.
Only 8 countries now stand between Riaan and the finish line, but that's still 15,000 kilometers. Do you have any major concerns? Obviously you've got Somalia approaching, which effectively doesn't have a government, and you've been warned about Mogadishu.
First of all, I'm way past halfway, and I've got to mentally remember that. I know that I've got Somalia, a tough country ahead of me. I've heard very disturbing things, but no, I think I'm a lot wiser now.
Riaan hopes to be back in South Africa in February, 5 months later than originally planned. The sweet scent of home has given him fresh legs and extra motivation. We are so privileged. We don't realize it. I need to go away for a year, suffer, to be so enthusiastic, to want to tell people this over and over. We live in the land of milk and honey.